And this is the biggest shocker of all. We're getting rid of the entire Holy Trinity. I can't believe how many cars I'm selling, dude. This is crazy. We are getting rid of a lot of vehicles, and some of them are gonna absolutely shock you. They shocked Tommy when I revealed it to him.
I think there's like legitimately gonna be like 6 or 7 cars left after everything that goes. There are so many cars coming, it makes sense. You guys wanna stick around. It's gonna be a lot.
It is a lot. We won't have that few coming. I mean, there's a few coming really soon, and I still think it's a sizable collection. But we're gonna go over reasons why it just doesn't make sense to have this many cars at this time. First and foremost, the fact is that we've got a bunch of cars coming in, like he just said. First of all, we've got the unrevealed hypercar. We got the McLaren Senna, and then I got another one that should be coming in any day now. Second of all, we've got the SF90 coming any day. We just got the Rolls-Royce Phantom, and there is a Rimac Nevera coming about October, and then the Bugatti Chiron SS that's coming late this year, early next year, and then many others that we can just list on the screen real quick that are coming shortly
next
after.
year. That car I'm most excited for.
Yes.
It's gonna be crazy.
Now, one thing I learned, and that I don't think I've ever disclosed, is that it's very different from buying a used or existing car from buying a brand new car that is built from the factory. If you buy a used car, you can finance, you can do other things to pull and push money where you don't have to pay for it all at once. I do own a lot of my cars outright, but I also do finance some of them, and I've always been candid and clear about that. However, with new cars that you order from the factory, you need to put a whole bunch of money down. The Chiron SS, even a year before it was even slated to be here, I had to put $2 million of cash. You can't finance that down on that. Now multiply that by all of the other cars I have on order, that puts a serious strain on cash. It also doesn't make sense to have 28 cars now and then bring in, 10 new cars and have 38. Like 28's already probably too much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like right around that 30 mark, it becomes where you can't enjoy everything. Like there's not enough, especially with how much you work, you can't drive all those cars. There's so much to do. To maintain all of that. So it makes sense to downsize a little bit with the big cars coming.
We've already mentioned a few that we had up for sale in prior vlogs. The GTR. Did I mention, or was that it?
We have a lot. I mean, no, we have a lot. The Chiron's on consignment. We mentioned that. It went to auction and then came back and then back on consignment. There's a big one we haven't announced, but that's been on consignment for a little bit.
There's quite a bit of big ones that are
the E28. I know we put on the story. That car is going to go. That's just too big of a project, and the guy that had it just really messed it up, and it's not worth it.
I think there's one car in particular that is going to shock everybody that I'm getting rid of because it is.
There are two for me, but I have settled on the other one. The most recent one, I'm still shook.
I think that moves us on to reason number 2. So essentially, I'm trying to simplify my life. I've disclosed to you guys that I have Pet Supplies Plus stores, 7 of them. I am finally getting those under contract to sell them. I sold off a ton of properties. I always sell when it's high, I sell when it's low. And more on that.
Wait, you sell when it's high and you sell when it's low?
Oh, I sell when it's high, I buy when they're low. Very clearly high or very clearly low with just a little bit of transactions in between. Slurring my words, bro, I'm also hammered. I've sold almost all of my apartment buildings. I've sold many of my homes, some of the commercial properties. I still have probably around, 8 or 9 properties you'd think I would just know. I'm really trying to simplify life. Keeping what's important to me, what keeps my life simple, and just focusing on growing this wheel and tire enterprise, Fitment Industries and custom offsets like that, family, cars.
That's why I'm still here, right? Because you want to keep what's important to you?
Yes. We'll always need you, Tommy. In this order, it's really family, work, growing custom offsets, Fitment Industries, and other companies, and then the car collection. They're all near and dear to my heart, but in that order is where my focus is. I don't want any of the other stuff, tenants, Pet Supplies Plus stores, any other investments at this point. And we do get a lot of you that graciously ask for your advice and for investments, and it's just not in the cards right now. Must focus on those 3 things that are closest to me.
I want to touch on you saying that like cars are third to your business and family. Like even the Phantom, which you were so excited about. We just got this car. It's amazing. Been waiting for it for a long time. But like I feel like cars, and I know it seems obvious, but they're fleeting. Like you get a car and it's so cool for 2 days, and then after 2 days it's just a car again. It's like
and this is a funky one. Like this fell into the daily driver category, and we'll bring this up. This is one of them that actually is going to be on the list. I literally just got this car. I drove it for a solid week, and then I realized that I've already got my Escalade. Like that's a great daily luxury driver. I have my Urus that gets me the speed. My wife has the Tesla that does autopilot. Like this is a car, and I'm not as big a fan of having a car as a daily driver, just the way that I'm wired. So like I just don't see this getting used a lot. And this is $750,000 of capital being tied up when I'm gonna have to go out of my way to use it. And a lot of that's because the collection's so large, right? So, and there's several of the other cars are gonna fall into that territory. But first we committed to getting the Mansory kit done. So we are going to create some content around. It's going to look.
I'm still fighting for this car. I think after the Mansory kit, we may keep it for a little bit, make some content.
It's true.
Take a couple
That might change me.
We'll see. That one I'm fighting for. Everything else I understand.
Certain things have changed me along the way. Bye-bye Rolls Royce to go get Mansreed, and maybe
he said it for a while.
Bye-bye.
It's like 300 miles on it. I'm like,
I know.
He said take a bath on it. We'll keep it for a little bit. I want to work on you.
It will. Yes. You keep working on me.
I will.
Contradicting what I just said about focusing on those three things, I really, really like building homes. It's actually one of the few things that is a lot of work that I thoroughly enjoy, other than my wheel and tire companies in this, right? My wife and I have done a really great job of finding the correct properties and building a home that is highly desirable and making a lot of money. So we didn't even do it deliberately. We built our first home in Florida, made a lot of money. Second home in Florida, it's worth a lot more than we built it for. And then the third home, as you go with scale, that one we're all in a little over 5 and multiple offers in excess of 8 and 9. We're just deciding whether or not we're gonna sell it at this point. Again, back and forth with that one. But doing that made us realize that we're really good at developing property. And those of you that always ask about real estate and investing, like, property development is where the money is at. That is like the God tier. You can buy apartment buildings, you can have all of these tenants, but at the end of the day, if you can go develop a property, you're gonna make huge money. Case in point, let's say you wanna go build an industrial property. It takes 6 months to go construct a 200,000 to 300,000 square foot industrial building. You can build those right now around here for maybe $70 a square foot. They sell for like $100+ a square foot. That's a $30 per square foot profit times 200,000 square feet. That's $6 million of profit, and you can literally be on the sidelines just watching other people build, manage, sell your property. Like, $6 million for 6 months of very minimal work. That is why you see these huge property developers that seem to be at the top echelon of wealth. At the end of the Chiron video, when I said that I was selling it, we basically said, hey, I might keep it after all. This one still is on the sale block. I'm finding that having a YouTube channel provides tremendous hurt to all the values of my cars, which that makes sense, right? I made that decision to do it, so it's my fault. What you guys don't see at the end of the day is that, like, a lot of this I'm just cruising. Like, we're going on cruises. We're going on 300-mile round trip cruises to get great photos for scenery, hanging out with the guys, but also creating content. And like, we're not abusing it then. So the vast majority of the miles on this car are unabused. I would say 95+%. But then you have the vlogs where we go drag race and we do silly things with snowboards. And unfortunately, that's what people lock their eyes in. So you can get something like this at a really great deal just because people perceive that we're abusing it all the time, and it's just not the case. This one.
My favorite car in the collection.
This one, yes.
It's going bye-bye.
This one has to go for 2 reasons. Now, there's a funny thing. There's a funny story behind this one. I'm kind of stuck with it for now. I've always hated it, and I've always been pretty, well, maybe not hated. I've always disliked it, and I've been very vocal about that. Like, there's a lot of reasons for it. We're not going to get into all those today.
You don't like the car because, I just want to touch on 2 of them. So yes. It's too raw for you. The gas is too touchy.
The suspension, absolutely.
The seats are a little tight as well because we're fat.
Yes.
It's interesting because it's my favorite car.
Yes.
And it does nothing for you.
Roughest suspension in race mode. It fits tight, as you just mentioned. The gas pedal is unlike any other. Like, it's like a feather hits it and you feel it. Like, you literally can't rest your foot anywhere near the gas. If you hit a bump, like, it's too sensitive and it becomes a problem. And so the only thing stopping me from actually selling this right now is the battery. I've had a Speedtail battery on order for, I think, over a freaking year now. And typically I would go throw it up for sale now and just be like, okay, we'll just take a hit. But I promised Tavares the battery from this vehicle. So Tavares will very desperately need this battery. Now, it's not a perfect battery, but it's one that works and will get done what he needs done. But that means I need to hold on to it until we get him that battery, because a promise is a promise.
Again, with keeping cars, after the new battery's in and the car's lighter and faster,
I know.
There might be like a suspension update and you'll love it again. So I'm hopeful, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Change it. Is it the whole hybrid drive assembly too that they're replacing?
They're doing a lot. So it could change it enough where you could enjoy the car.
That would be crazy.
So fingers crossed.
So the 2 we've mentioned may stay in the collection, but I don't think they will.
I don't think so either.
I don't think they will.
So the brand new Huayra is going bye-bye. I'm just kidding.
No, it's not.
I love that car. That car's not going anywhere.
Yes, that was the first thing he asked when I'm like, I got, what was it, 8 cars or something?
Yeah.
And he's like, is the Huayra going bye-bye? I'm like, no, that car's really cool. Speaking of chopping block, Ford GT, it's always been a car where I've told Tommy, like, I love it when I do drive it, I just don't drive it that much. And it kind of became where I saw it and I drove it only because I was like, man, I haven't driven this thing in 2 months, so I think I should get out and drive it. It was never really, this is the top car that I want to take for the day. That was pretty much never in my decision bank. So I need to start thinking through that lens, and there's another car we're going to talk about in a minute that's not here that will also get sold for that same process. But if I'm not going to drive it, or if I'm only driving it out of duty versus desire, then the car should not be here tying up capital, period.
For sure.
It's a fun car, and this might be worth $1 million, and I might kick myself in the ass.
We've done
later.
a video saying I think this car is a great investment. This and another car that are the 2 best investment cars, and that just goes to show that you're not in it to make money. Like, this is genuinely a hobby for you. And
you and I were golfing, and that same thing, right? And the person that we were with mentioned like confused and baffled why like I don't look at this as an investment. I'm cautious when I buy my cars. I want to make sure I buy them at the right price. I want to make sure I sell them at peak, but I don't ever want financial investment to be a motivating decision when I buy a car because it just won't be here long. I won't excite it. It won't excite me. It won't be enjoyable. So I need to make sure that it is a personal investment that I will enjoy and love.
I feel like the Hamilton collection generally is a different part of your brain where like fitment industries, custom offsets, building homes, those are all data, logic, like you're trying to make money, they're a business. In homes,
this
not
is
so
enjoyment.
much.
Home is a big,
but it is, but this is fun for, like the Hamilton collection is a hobby and we do it for you guys, we do it to donate money to charity and to have fun and
share the cars with the people.
Making money on the cars is realistic for your objective.
No chance. Although during COVID, we certainly did make some.
Yeah, there was.
What else do we have here that's going bye-bye? I love my Urus, the daily. Somehow the Rezvani, that's running today, but it'll be broke tomorrow, I'm sure. I mean, it's broke now again. We got it for 24 hours and it was broke, but it's drivable.
It's driving, but it's not perfect.
That one's going to stay because I just love it so much and everybody wonders why I keep that. I just love that car. That's all that there is to it.
All cars that we're getting rid of, that's not one.
I know. I've told a couple of people about the cars that are going and they're like, the Rezvani is going, right? And I'm like, nope.
Have you like, do you see why I love it so much or no? Are you confused?
No, I mean, it's just insane. It's just an insane thing to drive.
Yes, exactly.
And like the sirens and like the intercom where you can like yell at people,
dude,
like it's just fun.
Yeah, like Steve said in the one video, it's like it tickles that part of his brain, that little kid part of his brain.
Yeah. So you get in and it just like, it fills you with,
We were crossing the tracks in Wheaton and my son took the loudspeaker we were talking to and he played a railroad crossing where it's ding ding and then a train that goes where this guy freaked out because he's like 3 feet up the train. He's like,
oh my gosh,
he thought there's a train that came out of nowhere. Then we continued to merp and siren. I would say 25% of the time I'm in that, I'm merping or sirening, and you've
I've experienced it every time I drive near him. We were driving home from picking it up yesterday, and he puts the rear blinding lights on. I'm like, bro,
I need you to fill that smoke screen up.
I could do that. One of the most gratifying moments of my life was on our way to Columbus for the event with Triple F, and somebody flashed me with their. I don't even know what I was doing, but they flashed me, and then I put the rear blinding lights on to flash them back from the back. It was so
bright.
Awesome.
It'll light up like an entire neighborhood.
Oh, they're very bright.
LaFerrari is a vehicle that I found moderate enjoyment out of, but this one ties up the most capital out of the entire collection. This is a $3.5+ million car. We've actually only put like a little over 1,500 miles on it, and it does have a warranty, so this can be a great freaking buy for someone if they can get past the 37 miles that we drove it hard in. But overall, it was a good vehicle, but like realistically, this is worth 2 to 3 hypers. I will get way much more. This one is more of like a logic decision where it was a B-level enjoyment, which might be enough to keep it, but when I look at it and I'm like, I could go get like 2 or 3 other hypercars that I'm really gonna love for the price of this thing.
This car's legitimately scary to drive as well. If you have this car in race mode without traction control on, you have to be a phenomenal driver to really understand how to drive this thing. It's crazy to drive in race mode without traction control. So there are other cars that, and again, with sharing the collection with the community, it's hard to put people in this car and like feel good about it too, because it's worth so much and they're scary. And
it's also hard to base decisions just based upon like, I need to base decisions on what make me happy. And a lot of times I think about you guys and I'm like, how are they gonna react? I think about the community. I'm like, I can't think that way. I have to, especially with how much money gets tied up with all this stuff, like I have to think about what ultimately drives my happiness, because at the end of the day, we're still gonna have an awesome collection, especially with what's coming in. Everything's still gonna be a crowd pleaser. It just can't be insane. It can't be 30, 40 million, multi-million dollar cars at the end of the day. I think the P1, the decision on the P1 going changed my mindset where I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna have the Holy Trinity anymore. And that made this all the easier too. More on that in a little bit, the shocking part coming up.
Testarossa.
Just bought it. We put like 50 miles on this.
I think we put less than 400 miles on it total.
Yeah, so we worked really hard to find this car. The first one we got frame damage crappy. This one is incredibly clean and it's super rare where it's black on black. I think I got a steal on this. One of our followers took a real good care of us. Had zero intention of selling it at the time when I got it. I will never buy a car if my intention is selling. We'll get into that next car that is going to be that same one, which you may or may not know. This vehicle will be a phenomenal buy, under 20,000 miles. It's a 91, which has the newer upgraded, a little bit higher horsepower motor, I think, than the late 80s versions.
It's a great driving car. It's a great driver. I love this car.
I'm realizing how many cars I'm selling as we're walking through, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, we have several more to go.
I know.
Wow.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Changes. This, we're going to spend 10 seconds on this piece of that Dominate Racing completely destroyed and ruined. He ruined this in my mind. The car has changed, so I don't even want to finish the build. It's jaded in my mind. 88 M5 trashed. We just sent the COUNTACH to have the interior completely redone. That decision was made prior to my decision to sell that as well. COUNTACH falls into the same boat as the Ford GT, where love it. I'm a big 80s guy. I come from the 80s, but the COUNTACH ultimately just was getting driven just to check a box. Maybe once or twice a year I actually saw it and I'm like, I really want to drive that, but is it worth another $750,000 in capital to tie up a vehicle that 1 or 2 times a year I actually want to go drive?
I was surprised about the Chevelle. I know we haven't brought that up yet too, but his Chevelle he's had for 15 years. Like that car, you've had for a long time. Like since I was a kid, I saw that car parked in the street at his house.
That's true, yeah. Tommy and I actually lived in the same neighborhood and you would drive by that. You remember my old M5 that I had? Chevelle's going by too. That one my kids are really trying to talk me out of because that's their favorite car. So yeah, there's nostalgia there and we'll see. The Chevelle right now is a thumbs up, but that one's probably most likely to change. Let's talk about the Holy Trinity and let's walk over to the Pagani to help kind of explain this. So Pagani, the Bugatti Chiron SS we have coming in is literally almost the same exact color. It's going to be a 1 of 1. Yeah. I don't know what they call it. They changed it to a French name, but it's going to look exactly like this.
It's funny. We spec'd the Chiron SS before Steve knew this car existed. Yeah. And they're almost identical. They're Gauthier Telesto with carbon fiber and then a bright interior. This is
Old
red.
Interior,
The Chiron's going to be orange, but they'll be kind of sister specs that complement each other, like the 918, which is also gray and red and yeah.
So we got to thinking, we're like, we have 3 hypercars that are going to be gray. Like this one is new and fresh, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's raising its rank up really high right now with me, and it's weird to have 3 gray hypercars. I know this is stupid, silly problems that only I might face, but the 918, another part of me kind of changed with that, where we went through a little debacle with a custom exhaust system. It broke, didn't turn out well, really frustrated that it was gone for way too long to get that thing fixed, was very displeased with the shop that fabricated it and how that turned out. And it's not nearly as bad as the M5 where like, I'm washing my hands clean of that, but I realized that after a few months, I'm pretty okay without that car. I really got my use out of it. And this is the biggest shocker of all. We're getting rid of the entire Holy Trinity then. Crazy. Yeah. Would have never thought that a year ago.
I didn't see that coming.
3 months ago, that's what she said.
I mean, the 918 is your favorite car. Like not long ago.
Yeah.
And that car.
It's like this quickly displaces that I have the new Chiron SS, which I know that one's going to be number 1.
Insane, yeah.
We have the SF90 coming in. Okay, this is where I can't believe how many cars I'm selling, dude. This is crazy. Fully spec'd that out. That was a really special car that I was lucky to get kind of an allocation for. I don't think it was easy to get, but I don't think it was difficult to get at the time. I ordered that Halloween of 2021. Wow, that's been a year and a half already. Wow. Yeah. I think we never thought the spec would work out when we were brainstorming in our head, but when we saw it on the screen, I think it's a really unique and awesome spec. And we were super picky about that white, where I don't even think the salesman was fully aware of the color. Yeah. So probably gonna sell that. I'm probably gonna get it here. We'll test it out, see if it changes me.
That car gives me hope because I think that would be a good spot to fill the LaFerrari because that car was amazing.
I'll have no Ferraris.
I know. So so the SF90 would be cool to keep because, and they're so fast. So you just drive it and see what you think. That car is on the chopping block.
But isn't that crazy? The 488 just sold. Testarossa's going, and then the one
that immediately going from 4 to 0.
I don't think I've ever been like a huge Ferrari proponent. I don't know. So needless to say, we're going to have some space in this garage, and we're going to build a gym. Speaking of the gym, we're going to show you we're going to move everything in that's here because we've never had like even close to 100% of the cars in here. We're going to clean it up, walk you guys through rooms that you've never seen before. The decoration that I did, I think, was out of this world with help from a designer, of course. And we can't wait to give you guys a full tour of the HQ. And there will be new space for that gym that I just mentioned, but
coming soon.
What was the car that was going up
next? The car, it's actually getting detailed right now to get listed, is the GT3 RS, which is a huge workhorse. It's been a staple to collection since I started. That's such a great car.
I think the fact is I started expanding to so many hypercars where like it's so hard to go back to a supercar. And again, this sounds stupid and ridiculous, but once you've experienced it, you would understand it. Like when you've got 6, 7, 8 hypercars that you keep adding to the collection, like that's what you want to drive. Those are the top echelon of performance. They are just candidly the top clout getters of the collection. And they just feel and perform amazing.
Yeah, it's the best material, they're the best sounding, they're the most comfortable, they're the fastest. They do everything better than supercars, which is why you pay so much for them. But like, even for me, why would I come in here and take the 3RS to lunch or dinner when there's a Huayra Roadster? Like,
it's just out of duty, right? It's literally out of duty.
Because you feel bad for it.
It's
which is so stupid.
Like, I had to start thinking through that lens, like, okay, why am I taking this? Yeah, it's fun, but like, would I have rather another vehicle? Yes, I would. So It does need to be
and
there.
hopefully we can get a new 3RS allocation. If you guys know of any allocations that are available that aren't ridiculously stupid over MSRP.
It has to be at MSRP.
Yeah, let us know. That's a car that I think we'd still love to see join the collection at some point. So old 3RS is going bye-bye. We're working on getting a new one.
Yep. I'm a big guy on like timing and signs. I'm not a crazy astrology goofball, but when I hear a guy from Custom Offsets, one of my team members, Dustin, texting me like, hey, can I buy that CO2 truck? And then when I watch a vlog Houston Cross put up really recently about him having to sell to raise capital for his stores, and then when I see Stradman selling vehicles at a pretty good portion over the last few months, I'm like, I feel signs, I feel that I'm getting pulled in that direction, and it helps kind of affirm my decision to do it. So that's part of it. And then economically, it's been a difficult year for e-commerce businesses in general. You've seen layoffs at Amazon, like everybody is laying off, everybody is reducing staff in the e-com world. And we've been very fortunate to stay flat the last 2 years at our company, but flat isn't the what I'm used to. I need to get this beast growing again with the help of all the partners that we've got and our awesome team underneath us. So that is a huge goal, and in doing that, a lot of the owners have had to have more financial discipline in what we're doing. We need to make sure we're pleasing the bank. If we're flat, the bank's gonna be a little bit more stringent about lending requirements and the way that they see us. So the owners have had to really reduce how much we're taking out of the company. And so I need to learn how to live within that budget. And then when times are better, I'll probably be stupid and go end up buying all this all over again. That's all, folks. Lots of cars leaving, lots of cars staying. As always, thank you for watching and
Subscribe.
thank you.